Hey guys, today I'm down in Carmel, California because Lincoln just pulled the covers off of the new 2025 Navigator. Let's take a look. Lincoln is calling the 2025 Navigator all new, but logically it does share a little bit under the skin with the previous generation Navigator, although you'd be hard pressed to notice it necessarily on the outside because the exterior design is definitely new. We find the same sort of light pipes up front with full LED headlights there that we find in other recent Lincoln models. I apologize for the strobing there on camera. It's just due to the brightness out here and the way the camera perceives that. It doesn't actually strobe in person, although it does have startup animation and of course the illuminated logo that we see in other Lincoln models. Now this particular trim is the new Black Label trim. Obviously Black Label has existed before, but it's going to be even more Black Label-y, I guess you'd say, for 2025. It has the multiple little 3D elements in the grille. Those resemble that Lincoln logo, if you're wondering what that looks like. Over here we have the Jet package. Now it's worth noting that what was formerly the base model of the Lincoln has been essentially discontinued because 95% of shoppers were choosing these two vehicles here, basically the upper end trims. This model has the Jet appearance package, which means it has no chrome on it. So even over here, if we move on to the side, the Navigator spelled out there on that side sill plate is black. So it's black on black, whereas on the Black Label, it is that sort of satin chrome appearance there on the doors. Now dimensionally, the Navigator is about the same size as the one that it replaces. You can still get the extended wheelbase version if you're interested in one, and that still remains a point of differentiation between the Navigator and something like the Infiniti QX80, which is also new for this year, but again, very similar to the competition from Cadillac or from Jeep with the Wagoneer, because those come also in extended wheelbase format. Coming around to the back, we have a design that looks a lot like the Lincoln Nautilus. We have Lincoln spelled out beneath this plastic panel, lots of little Lincoln elements going on inside there as well. Also the big animated LED light pipe in the back. If I open the tailgate in the back, you'll notice basically the same sort of tailgate design that we find in a lot of Range Rover models, where we have a split tailgate with this upper section opening and then the lower section either staying in place or programmably also opening with the upper section. And of course, they're all going to close together. This is a really handy touch because it helps keep cargo from falling out of the back when you've parked on a slope or something like that. And versus the opening glass that we used to find in a lot of full-size SUVs, it's not as much of a reach to get into this cargo area as reaching through that glass. And that's really obvious if I close the tailgate and you look at this in comparison. So the cargo load-in height is going to be right about there, but if the glass opened, you'd have to load things in all the way up there. And for shorter drivers and shorter passengers or kids, that's obviously going to be a lot more of a problem. Under the hood, you'll find a new 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6. Yep, this is actually not exactly the same one that we found last year. Horsepower, 440 horses, torque, 510, made it to a standard 10-speed automatic transmission. That's definitely more than you'll find in the Escalator or the Wagoneer as far as their base engines go, and that's the only engine offered for 2025 in the Navigator. The first thing you're going to notice as you hop inside the new Navigator is certainly going to be this 48-inch display bank in the dashboard. Now this is not one continuous 48-inch screen, it is in fact two 24-inch screens, very similar to what we see in the Lincoln Nautilus. And the functionality of the system is very similar, so if you want to know about it in more detail, you can check out our Nautilus video. We have a passenger section of the screen there that will be able to play video if you are stationary, but you'll notice that unlike some manufacturers that have a big display across the dashboard, this passenger side is not completely locked out while you're driving. The driver is definitely able to see it, and that's why up there we get things that are auxiliary to the driving experience, like the clock, the weather. We have our infotainment readouts right there. Then we have the map, whether that's the internal mapping or your connected smartphone projection, and then we have the instrument cluster section right up there. On either side of the display bank, to help fill out the extra width in the dashboard versus the Nautilus, we have a speaker module there. That's a really cool touch, and that actually works with all the other speakers in the vehicle. There are a ton of speakers inside. Moving down from there, the steering wheel, it's basically the same design that we also see in the Nautilus. It's Lincoln's new oval steering wheel with touch and physical buttons on each side. You move your finger around that touch-sensitive surface, and then up here on the screen, you'll actually see what that particular button module does, whether that's interacting with the screen, track forward, backward, volume up and down, or adjusting the Blue Cruise system, because this will have the hands-free driving assistant Blue Cruise, and that's why we have that driver monitoring module right there on the top of the steering column. In the middle of the dashboard, we find another touchscreen. This is your basic interface for interacting with smartphone integration. So if you have CarPlay active, that's where that would be. You can also see we have our map interface there, and that works with the map above there on that LCD bank. So if, for instance, we were to actually put a destination in there, you would then see not only routing there, but you'd also see routing up there at the top of the screen. So the displays all work in coordination with one another. There's also going to be a feature here where you can stream video not just here, but on the upper screen as well. That is a little bit different than we currently see in the Nautilus, but that feature is coming to the Nautilus via a software update. Over here we have the controls for the dual zone climate control up front, or I should say the front climate control zones. And then down here we have the piano bank shifter for park, reverse, neutral, drive, etc. Over here we have the Pro Trailer backup knob, because trailering is definitely important to the Navigator audience. Not only will this have that active trailer backup function, it also has the new automated hitch up function, so it can actually back itself onto that hitch to make it easier to connect a trailer. Over here we have our gear up down buttons, our automated parking assistance buttons, and then lots of storage here. So here we just have a storage area and Qi wireless charging mat. It's a little bit difficult to see in the lighting in here. And then on this side we find two big cup holders. If you're wondering, the key looks basically the same as before. It's that same classic Lincoln key that was seen in the past. I've now jumped inside one of the Black Label trims so you can see the different interior options that are available. This one has the two-tone interior, sort of medium chestnut and charcoal design theme. Same sort of steering wheel there, obviously the same big screen bank in the dashboard as in the other model, but in a different two-tone design. I really like this interior color combo. From here you can also see some of the different design themes in here, like the very vertical orientation of this center screen and the very horizontal nature of the dashboard right there around that center channel. You'll also notice these air vents here. If I move over to the screen, these air vents are adjusted via these on-screen controls. This is very Tesla-like in a way, but unlike some of those EVs that you might see on the market, with this you'll actually see the little vanes and the little segments inside there actually moving around as they open, close, and move around. This model has wood trim on the dashboard and lots of wood trim going on here in the center console. Same general design going on here, but I really like the touch of this wood trim. The trailer backup controls over there, as well as the trailer brake controller, that's all happening on that side. The dual split armrest here, that's definitely a classic design that we've seen in other Lincolns before. Lots and lots of storage going on in here. So two USB-C charge ports in there, lots of additional storage, and even additional storage right there under that center console. Jumping into the back, we find seats that are very similar to the front seats, really almost exactly the same design. The big difference is in the headrest. So you'll notice the headrest is not quite the same up there in the front seats as it is back there in the rear, but it's very, very similar. And the seats have the same adjustability and the same sort of seat massage that we find up front. That's a really cool touch. In the center of everything, we have a split armrest, very similar to the front one, but a smaller storage bin. Cup holders there, Qi wireless charging mat. A touchscreen display to control not only the climate control zones for the rear, but also the rear seats, the ambient lighting, etc., and even chauffeur mode, so you can move that front seat forward. Down there we have a 400-watt inverter outlet. Also, this is where we find some additional cup holders, so lots of cup holders for the back. And then here, there is a storage compartment for the wireless headphones for the rear seat entertainment system. That rear seat entertainment system is obviously right there on the back. These screens are going to support streaming video, HDMI inputs, USB inputs, etc., so lots of functionality. And I really appreciate how clear these screens are. So the colors and the clarity of the screen is actually really nicely done. To get back into the third row, obviously we have a powered mechanism. I am happy that that seems to really operate much more rapidly than I had expected, definitely more rapidly than in other vehicles. Also, an unexpected touch, it looks like you'll actually be able to keep a forward-facing child seat latch anchored into position and still move those seats forward because of the way that seat moves. It also gives you a much bigger opening back there into the third row. Now, speaking of the third row, dimensionally it is pretty similar to the previous Navigator. You can see lots of headroom back there. Those air vents up there in the ceiling, but the big difference here is the center seat. It's now a 40-20-40 folding seat. I really, really like that touch because it means that if you want to be able to put skis in the back, say you just decide to go skiing and you don't have a rack or you just don't want them up there, you can put your ski bag, obviously keeping the drips away, in here very easily. Gives you a lot more cargo practicality in the back. This third row is heated, so you can see we also have some child seat anchors there as well. Speaking of child seat anchors, you might be wondering where the top tether is on this design. It's right back there, and that's the big reason we find that different headrest design. You want to power those back into place, you simply press that button, and hey presto, it pops right back there into position. Now, we don't know pricing just yet, but essentially Lincoln has killed off the base model. So you either get the reserve model like we're looking at here, this one has the optional jet package, or you get the Black Label trim over there. The price tag is likely going to be under $100,000 starting, but we don't have any detail quite yet. For some folks that may seem like a big price increase, but remember that about 95% of all Navigator sales were already these two trims, so it's not actually that big of a deal. Coming over here to the Black Label model, these are the biggest wheels the Navigator's ever had. Those are the 24-inch wheels and tires on that model. This Reserve trim with the Jet package, this has the 22-inch wheels. Basically, a 22-inch wheel is going to be standard on every Navigator. So be sure and sound off down there in the comments section below. Do you think Lincoln has done enough with the new Navigator, or So be sure and sound off down there in the comments section below. Let me know what you think of the new 2025 Navigator. Has Lincoln done enough with this model, or does it share maybe a little bit too much still with the outgoing model? If we take a look at this Reserve trim, I think the sharing is a little bit more obvious. In the back seat, you can see that the second row seat design is pretty similar to the outgoing model, and that's because we don't have that luxury massaging seat here. We have pretty wide armrests in the middle, easy access to the third row. I think that this is probably the format that I would want. I do love the really comfortable massaging seats over there in the Black Label, but this is just a really practical interior with that ability to walk through, and it is a really big pass-through area. I really, really love that 40-20-40 folding third row seat. I actually like that idea a lot more than I thought I would have. I'd never really considered a 40-20-40 folding third row in a 3-row SUV like this, but that makes an awful lot of sense. And it's really obvious when you come back here. So with this generation of the Navigator, Lincoln is really focusing on some core practicality improvements. The ability to have this pass-through there, lots of cargo loading capability, and of course this split tailgate. Those are two things that don't on their surface necessarily seem like they're such a big deal, but as far as practicality and functionality goes, it's actually a pretty decent change to the Navigator. Let me know what you think about all that down there in the comment section below, and of course stay tuned because hopefully we will be driving one of these before it goes on sale next spring.